Hey, it's Sam here, and this is the Feker K75. Priced at $100 US, it's a tri-mode 75% keyboard that comes with a customizable screen and knob. But before I show you that big screen on the keyboard, here is what's included in the box. You get the typical stuff like the user manual, which includes instructions for the function keys and most importantly for the screen. A 2-in-1 switch and keycap puller, a pretty standard Type A to Type C charging cable, and a bag of extra screws. The keyboard also comes with a hard plastic cover to keep the dust out, and I have the white variant here, which I think looks great with these keycaps. The build is mostly plastic, so it only weighs around 860 grams or 1.9 pounds. Alright, so from the top, you can see the 75% layout, and it is slightly different because they added a screen to the top right corner and a slot for the 2.4 GHz dongle next to the arrow keys. I appreciate that there's a dedicated place for the dongle, but it does stick out like a sore thumb in my opinion. Here is how the side looks with the cherry profile keycaps, and the height is adjustable with the feet on the bottom. And on the other side with the knob, it looks like this. There is no logo or branding on the front, and on the back there's just the on-off switch and the Type-C port here on the left side. On the bottom of the keyboard, there's 5 rubber feet, 2 height adjustable feet, and a gold plug in the middle with the Feker logo. It looks nice, but I think that made in China wording is just way too big. So going back to that screen, it's a 1.28-inch round display, and it shows the battery, the time, the date, the temperature, and CPU usage. Not only that, you can also access the settings for the keyboard here. You navigate by pressing down to select and use the knob to cycle through everything, as you can see. The settings in here include your connection mode, speed of the RGB effects, color of the RGB, the Windows and Mac mode toggle, backlight brightness adjustment, all of the RGB effects, which are 18 in total, and of course adjustment for the volume of the computer. These settings are all really good, and it's a very responsive screen as well. But from what I have tested, it's only available in Mandarin, and I can't find a way to change the language of the screen. So for now, it's just stuck like this. A few more features of the screen is that it turns into a clock when the keyboard or computer is in sleep mode. I think it looks pretty cool, but the clock goes away once you activate the keyboard. Besides that, the screen can also display GIFs if you want to. All you need is the Feker driver software, and once you're in the Screens tab, you can select a GIF or image and upload it to the screen. This process only takes a few minutes to load, and when it's done, it will look something like this. I really enjoyed this feature, and here are some GIFs I have tried on the screen just as a reference. The software for the keyboard is pretty standard. You can configure the layers, all of the keys, the keyboard sleep timer, all of the functions on the keyboard, make or add macros, adjust the lighting on the keyboard, and you can also share or view what other users have done to customize their own keyboard. Okay, now moving on to the keycaps. The white keyboard comes with a white, purple, and blue theme keycaps. They are double shot PBT and cherry profile. Overall, the legends are sharp and the color seems nice and saturated too. The thickness here is decent as well, with the double shot at 1.3mm and the edges at 0.6mm. For the switches, there's 2 options to choose from. There's the Corgi linear switch and the Kailh vanilla ice cream switch. Here I have the Kailh vanilla ice cream switch, and it's a linear full palm switch. It has an operating force of 38 grams and a long 22mm spring inside. It's pretty smooth out of the box because of the factory loop, and I like that it also has a diffuser for the RGB included. Talking about the RGB, it's pretty great here, and here are a few examples of the 18 RGB effects pre-programmed onto the keyboard. The PCB here is 5-pin hot swap with a south-facing layout, so you don't have to worry about changing the switches or keycaps here. The plate-mounted stabilizers here are decent. They look like this and come looped, as well as they don't rattle when in use, so I can't really complain. But I can say that I'm happy they added some rubber pieces at the spacebar to help dampen the sound. The case of the Feker K75 is held together with clips. So to access the components inside, you will need to pry open the case. Once inside, you need to disconnect the ribbon cable for the screen on the top right and 2 more cables connecting to the daughter board and battery. After that, there's just 6 screws holding the plate and PCB together. With all of that out of the way, the keyboard can now be fully disassembled. So here is the top case. It houses the wireless dongle and the screen with its own motherboard at the back here. This is the bottom case. It has a piece of foam to dampen the noise, and it also houses the 5000 mAh battery and the daughter board with the on-off switch and Type-C port here. The plate is polycarbonate with flex cut, so it's really flexible as you can see. Here is the 5-pin hot swap PCB, and it has the ribbon cable for the screen. And on the back of the PCB are all of the Kailh hot swap sockets. Moving on to the mods included, there's a pre-cut case foam that goes onto the back of the PCB like this. Besides that, there's also a thin piece of switch pad that comes with a layer of PET insulation film, and it goes in between the switches and the PCB. Last but definitely not least, there's a pre-cut Poron plate foam that sits in between the plate and PCB. With all of the mods installed, it should look something like this with everything sandwiched together. The PCB here is gasket mounted with these small silicone gaskets that are quite squishy. They just slot into the sides of the PCB like this. Overall, the keyboard does flex quite a lot for a softer typing experience. Alright, that was everything about the Feker K75. Now please enjoy the typing sound test. Okay, here are my final thoughts on the keyboard. For $100 you are getting a really great keyboard that has a unique screen and knob. Not only that, it comes fully modded with foam and loop, so you don't have to worry about how it sounds out of the box. But its strongest feature is also where it falls short. The screen is in Mandarin and there's no way to change the language. So if you can't read Mandarin, the screen will be a problem. Anyway, if that doesn't bother you and you're interested in getting the Feker K75, it will be linked in the description below for you. And that does it for this video. Thanks to MechLands for the keyboard and thank you for watching. Leave a like on the video if you liked it, dislike it if you didn't, and remember to subscribe if you haven't. See you in the next one.